So I believe we have our first question. What does the teacher's role look like? And I'm just going to probably throw this question to Susan because she has local programs. So what does the teacher's role look like in working with employers? And does the teacher have a role in working with employers?
Oh, absolutely. Our faculty definitely are active with employers. And our faculty also model what we hope our students will be, which is lifelong learners. Because as faculty work more with employers, they have to upgrade their own skills. They have to learn new machinery. They have to learn the new techniques. And so as they upgrade theirs, they become much more engaged with employers. We have faculty who shadow, who go into manufacturing firms and shadow. We also have part-time manufacturing faculty who are still working in industry and then teach for us part-time so that those skills stay current. We also have faculty, while our students are out there, because we do want paid internships for our students. So our faculty go out into those manufacturing companies and talk to the bosses, talk to the leads and say, now that you have our student, what are we not doing? What are we doing well? What can you tell us we need to concentrate on? So that faculty becomes really a partner with that lead at that manufacturing as well. And it also helps our students because they know that our faculty know what's going on, and employers, if they want more skills from these employees, they will send them back to us for our more advanced classes that we offer.
Any other thoughts?
I think the only thing I would add to that is, and I'm going back, not thinking so much as a Fed now, but more to my previous career, pre-Fed, yes, as a program administrator at a community college, is that in some cases, depending upon the teaching situation for the particular teacher, their assignment, the teacher is really the spark point. You know, the translator, the teacher is the one that's going to make the connection between whatever material, whatever content, whatever knowledge, whatever skills the job requires, and the student and what they have and what they need to get that job. I mean, I think there's a role for everybody in the system. I think there's a role for state policy. I think there's a role for professional developers, for administrators, but the teacher is the one that's right there with the student that next wants to go to the employer. So I think they have an undeniable role.
Absolutely. And in the advisory committees that we have the employers come, we have our faculty there, we have our career navigator there, we have our CBOs there, we have our workforce people there, I'm there as an administrator. So as you said, bringing all these people together, but the linchpin is the faculty, absolutely.
Great. Next question from our online audience. What have you found that employers value in adult education programs as a partner? And I think that could be tossed to anyone here. So
I think we talked about that already, and that is the fact that you, adult educators, stand in partnership with their CTE and public workforce system. You're poised, you're in a perfect position to deliver to them exactly what they want, and that's a high quality workforce. And I think that is the most important thing. Susan, I'm sure you have additional ideas.
Well, what we found with our smaller companies is that they can't afford an HR department, and so they go out to temp agencies and they put out a call for employees. Well, you never know what you're going to get when you do something like that. So with our program and with our partnerships with these companies, they can say to us, okay, I'm looking for somebody who does this, or I'm looking for 4 more employees, or whatever it is. And when those students go, who have completed the training, they go out there, they know exactly what these employees now are capable of doing, and they know that they can count on us as the college to be interested enough to keep in touch with them to find out how can we make it better, what's going on. So the bottom line was, as was said, they want skilled employees. That's the bottom line, because the bottom line for business is money. And if they can keep their companies going, and if they can get the skills from the employees that they need, everybody is happy. And that's exactly what we all want. We want skilled employees getting livable wages, being tax-paying citizens, and then coming back for even more knowledge so that they can update their skills. Absolutely.
Great.
No, I would just, since you're gonna.
I'll
I
give
can't
you an
tell, is that
opportunity,
talk or
Chris.
not
I'll
talk,
give you
Chris?
I just never know.
No, I would just very succinctly say that I'm the adult educator. I can teach basic skills efficiently and in a high quality way, and I can contextualize. Those are two things I bring that many employers will need.
Absolutely. And they talk about the soft skills. So we're not just teaching them the math and the communication and the discipline, but we try to incorporate as much of a workforce environment as we can. So I can remember about 2 years ago when we had an advisory committee, we were talking about complaining about some of our students who bring their phone in and they're not ready for class to start. And, they're just not ready. So one of the employers said, well, we have a time clock at our place. Did you try a time clock? Well, we now have a time clock. And when the students come in and they clock in, they must be ready. They can't go off somewhere and take a conversation or tweet something. They are ready to begin work. And so that has helped us tremendously. We also talk about teamwork, which is extremely important in today's industry. You have to learn to work with a team. And coming in on time, doing what you're supposed to do, listening skills, working with diverse folks. These are all very, very important things. Looking right. Somebody once told me that during an interview, a student actually took a phone call during an interview when she was, and we're like, no, this is not going to happen. And so we talk about interviewing skills and how you must project yourself at these times, and how important it is to communicate with your boss about what's going on or what's not going on, and where your needs are as an employee as well, so that you can become an even better employee. So those soft skills are very, very important.
I might add one more comment to that. When we are successful in doing just what Susan and Chris have described, it's remarkable what our employers will do in return. Yes. We go to them, not with our hand out, like Susan said, but in a partnership mode to say, what do you need? When they get what they need from us and from our partners, they do some amazing things. They have money to contribute. They donate equipment. Yes. They put their name in big print on the side of our building so that it looks like a professional training center. They give uniforms. They give public media coverage for us. And this is, we couldn't afford to buy that kind of exposure.
That's
so,
exactly right.
Sometimes we think, business should pay for that. But, we need more business money. They have all the money. They should be giving us money. They will give us money when they get what they need, and we are the people that can do that for them.
And that's that bottom line. As in anything, we have to respect each other. So there are some faculty or administrators or folks at the college who used to say, no, we do not listen to business. They don't tell us what to teach. Well, we realize that that's a disservice to students in many ways. I mean, if you're teaching this in your program and the employers want that, then what happens to those students? Where do they go? So listening to employers, making it as a partnership, respecting each other. The employers know that we are the ones who can teach, as Chris has said. We know how to do that. They are the ones who can help us teach what needs to be taught. And as long as we work that partnership and realize that the end of all of this is a skilled employee with a good job, that's the bottom line.
I think that kind of a this or that sort of dichotomy, too, in many cases can be based on a false assumption that it can't be both.
Right. Right.
Exactly, because we better serve our students when we better serve business.
Absolutely.
Great point.
Great. Perfect. We have a couple of questions from the audience here. The first question is from Mary Ellen Norse from the Idaho State Correctional Institution. How do adult education programs recruit advisory committee members when school districts are vying for these same employers for their own advisory committees?
it's not easy. It's very difficult. And I can tell you that we were not as successful until we got our career navigator, because faculty don't have the time to go out there and talk to the employers. I don't have the time to go out there and talk to the employers. But she is out there all the time talking to folks, calling them up, speaking to them, forming that relationship. That has made it much easier. And once that a couple of manufacturers or automotive folks got involved, then it became almost like, did you know that we get students from over there and they're really good? And they're like, oh, really? And what do you have to do that? Well, come on to the advisory committee meeting and we'll talk about it. So the word spreads, and everybody knows that this is going to work out for them as well as for us.
We were talking about that last night, about success breeds success.
Yes, absolutely.
Right?
And
absolutely.
some companies won't tell because they want to keep that as a proprietary secret, my own private pipeline from excellent college.
That's very true.
The thought I have to offer, Mary Ellen, and again, I don't have all the answers, but in Kansas, we are exploring integrated advisory committees.
There you go. Yeah.
So why would a high school who is preparing students to go to the technical college or the community college on a continuum of their technical training, this is the same set of skills. They shouldn't be separate advisory committees. I'm not sure about corrections, but I'm guessing the employer needs the same competencies and skill set and credentials, whether they came from any of these training sources. So when we can combine those advisory committees, business gets tired of being asked, especially when they get asked, and I'm sure this doesn't happen in your college or any of yours, but sometimes businesses go to advisory committees and nothing ever happens.
Right,
we get
that's
a
the
barbecue
problem.
sandwich and we get a report on what's been done this year. Nothing changes.
Right.
No input, no guidance, no true improvement as a result of the business leader's time. So we have to be cautious of that, number one, and then I think also when we can work together. And if the workforce partnership is bringing together sectors, let's stand with them if we can. Again, I know it's messy, but let's.
Yeah, I would. That was my immediate reaction to when I heard the question was, well, it doesn't have to be 3 meetings or 4 meetings or that many different advisory committees. It could just be one. Now, having blurted that out so easily, I would say it probably means that everybody's going to have to sort of rethink what they were getting out of that and maybe give a little to get a little. But if you're on the outside right now and not able to get those folks to the table, and if making a few trade-offs gets you to a better place, maybe something to think about.
Right, and in Washington right now we have a center of excellence, and it is for manufacturing. And so we started out with just a very few colleges who were doing manufacturing at the college, coming together to talk about our concerns and our issues and what we were going to do. Well, now we have grown to, I believe there are 19 colleges now involved in our consortium. And it is the Center of Excellence. We have the director, Mary Kay Rederson, and she has a website. Employers put job opportunities on that. We can put student resumes. We have shared our curriculum so that nobody is reinventing the wheel when they decide to do something. And we meet once a month to talk about the kinds of things, and we bring employers in to help us make those decisions. So that has really helped in working with the employers.
Great plan.
Great. We have another question from the audience here. Blair Lidicott from Rio Salado College. Blair asks, how do you assist your students to persist in a year-long IBEST program, considering the typical challenges adult education students face?
Again, I come back to my career navigator. We have, as you know, students who will stay home because they can't find their textbook. Who will stay home because their children are sick, because they have no child care, all kinds of reasons. They ran out of gas and they're at a gas station 12 miles away calling from the gas station. She is the one that they call. She is the one who tries to find ways to help them. She is the one who knows those kinds of needs. So I'm not saying it's easy. We all know that there are personal obstacles for these students, even more so than some of our regular academic younger students. But the adult students also realize that this is an opportunity for them. And when they come to campus, as you well know, a lot of them have been laid off. They have found out that their career of many years is now over and they need to change. They're very angry, they're upset, they don't want to be on a college campus, they're frightened, absolutely. They don't want to be with younger people and be called the old guy or the old geezer or whatever it is. But what they find is it's so important, that's why that environment is so important, to respect these students, to show them that this will lead to a job. This will get you to a place you want to be, doing something that you enjoy. And also we find that the older students often become mentors to our younger students, say in their 20s and 30s. The older students become mentors for them, and that builds their self-esteem as well. But the environment is very important, and now we are trying to attract more veterans. As we all know, more veterans will be coming back from the service. And we are putting into place prior learning assessment, as I'm sure most of you are. So if a veteran comes to us, we can say, with our faculty, show us what you know. So you're not starting at the very beginning and being bored and feeling like, you know, you're just not being respected. Show us what you know, and we will place you where you should be so you can continue on and update and get your skills so you can get out there and get your job.
I think those are two great strategies, and I would just add a third one in that I think, from my experience at the local level, some people just can't persist right now.
Right.
You know? So putting them on a bus, putting them into a program that's going to require them to persist is setting them up to fail. And who needs that to happen again? So I think anything that programs can do up front to make sure that, yes, you're actually ready for this, yes, you've taken care of transportation, childcare, whatever, or you've taken care of as much as you can, we'll help you with a little bit that we can, or this just isn't the time, here's what we can do until you're ready for a better time.
Absolutely.
And we'll still be here when it's
Exactly.
time for you to stop back
Exactly.
in. And
Absolutely.
we'll be here. We'll be here.
But
So,
it is amazing
what those wraparound supports
Oh,
are.
what those
absolutely.
wraparound
Yeah,
support
right.
services can do, and the
Right.
motivation. I mean, last year we had 2 homeless students during winter quarter who rode the bus all night long because they had no place to go. So they would just go from bus to bus on Metro to keep warm, and they'd be there in the morning into class. I mean, when they know there's something at the end that will get them a better life, I am amazed at the motivation and the obstacles and the persistence that they can put into that.
It is amazing. So we have one last question from our online audience. I believe this one's for you, Chris. How likely is it that this issue of employer engagement in supporting adult career pathways will continue to be a priority for the department in future investments?
Well, we can look at there's a couple of different ways to look at it, but the bottom line is I think it's very likely.
Okay.
And then I'll back out to
This
that.
is good
It's very
news.
likely. First of all, it's very prominent in the interagency memo, and it's very prominent in the tools that the agencies have created and are creating to support implementation of the elements that are in that memo. Our Policy to Performance project, the Department of Labor has a wonderful career pathways toolkit that is very rich with tools. It was the foundation for the institutes that you went through. Secondly, if you look beyond the federal for a second, you see it very prominently in the Accelerating Opportunities project, funded by Gates and with the help of JFF, Jobs for the Future. So, I mean, not only is government saying it, but non-government is saying it as well.
Right.
And then the third thing that I'm aware of is CLASP, the Center for Law and Social Policy, is in the process of creating a framework, it's kind of a measurement tool for quality career pathways. And you see employer engagement very prominent there as well. Those are the kinds of tea leaves that we're looking at the department as we start to think about what our next project is going to be. And we see employer engagement very front and center there.
Great. That's good to know. Thank you, Chris.